Yo, welcome to the Buck and Mike Experience.
Experience sports like you never have before.
Where the buck stops.
And the mic drops.
Bam. Alright, here we go. What a week.
What a crazy week.
So
especially
much.
the last few days.
It changes, like thousands of things happen. The players are all over the map. All the guys that said, I want to stay where I am. I love it there. None of them stayed where they are. None of them.
It's blowing up. It's one of the craziest things, especially with some of the trades that's happened. But like there's so much players going to teams that you didn't expect them to actually go
Trades,
to.
both of our teams adding corners.
Yeah, both teams adding
Both
corners.
of our teams adding a corner. Y'all's is, he's good.
We gave up less.
You did give up less, but I got Jalen Ramsey.
I mean, we got a
I would say
we got a
he's
defensive player of the year.
He's a very good corner. Well, that was like 6 years ago.
He
had a very good
has
season
Jalen
last
Ramsey
year.
had a defensive player of the year award?
He has not.
Okay.
He is a 4-time or 5-time All-Pro though, so I think either way, both of us are happy with what we got. I mean,
100%.
You give me, you get Xavier Howard healthy again. You put Xavier Howard across from Jalen Ramsey with Javon Holland over the top, and good luck. Let's play.
And you know what's funny? What links us even more is the fact that former Cowboy and former Dolphin is now formally released. Byron Jones is no longer with the team.
This is true. He probably actually facilitated the move for Ramsey because we freed up I think it was $16 million by releasing him. And I think we're paying Ramsey after reconfiguring his deal. I think it's 2 years guaranteed. I think it's $16 million.
Oh, okay.
So I think we literally just gave him Byron Jones' money.
All right.
Which, thank you. Not mad at that giving up at all.
No. I mean, both of us improved drastically on defense just from those two trades.
Well, that and Dallas bringing back Wilson to keep that three-headed monster at safety.
Yeah.
And Van Der Esch stays inside, and Van Der Esch had a very good bounce-back year last year. I think I like about Gilmore is that you're only paying him like $9 million. I think he's $10 million on the cap.
I mean, he's 32 years old too.
32. He's gonna give, if he's willing to, it's gonna give something for Diggs to learn from. Diggs
100%.
can grow more off of what he gets from.
And he'll be so good as the CB2.
Oh, for
instead
sure.
of having to be a CB1 anymore. He's
probably
going to be.
He had a top
better.
5 season and a lot of stats on Pro Football Focus as a cute corner one on a horrible team that most people say he checked out at times. So if he's checking out, then I'd like to see what he's going to do when he's on a team where he feels like, hey, we're going to compete. They fired and moved their coaching staff and said that we're going to play defense and we're going to run the ball, but we're not going to run it with Zeke because he's not on the team anymore.
Yeah.
So, I think we lock your Cowboys draft a running back.
I say they do.
Maybe not round.
I'm not going to say it's going to be first round.
I don't think it'll be first round, but I think they use a second round pick.
But there will be a new
Alabama kid.
Gibbs would be first round. If they go for him, it'll be first round. I think Bijan is going to be gone before them in the first place. But if they went for Gibbs, it would have to be first. You're looking at more like Charbonnet if you're in the second round.
Whoever you get is, as long as he's healthy, is going to play second fiddle to Pollard.
Yeah.
So you don't really have to get the number one guy unless you just think that we're not going to extend Pollard.
Yeah.
That would be the only reason. Or you think he's not going to come back healthy. With another position that y'all need, though, is a tight end position. Would you have done what the Giants did? Giving up a third-round pick to get Darren Waller?
For Darren Waller? Absolutely.
If Darren Waller's healthy, he is one of the most dynamic weapons in the league.
Hey,
so
let's talk a little bit more about this trade for Darren Waller. Have you heard all the other stuff that's come with this?
I just know that he was a third-round pick.
Okay. So, there might be a little bit of Cheyenne Murdoch. He is a hater of Josh McDaniels, big time hater, because he's former Broncos coach.
I'm with you.
So he hates Josh McDaniels. Just hates him.
Gotcha.
And then of course what happened last year with Derek Carr, kind of just benching him for no reason, and then putting in Stidham. So there's some weird stuff going on now.
Absolutely.
Now with Waller. So at the combine, apparently Josh McDaniels spilled the beans about Waller and his fiance and their wedding that was about to happen, that their family had no clue about yet. So, well, maybe they knew about it, but no one else knew about it.
Yeah.
So he basically dropped it out to the world that he was getting married, and that made them upset. They didn't invite him to the wedding. 10 days later, Darren Waller's being shipped off.
Golly.
Like, Josh McDaniels is a piece of crap.
He really is.
He is a piece of crap.
And he's not making moves to make the team any better, because in his replacement to replace the catches that Waller gets, he goes and signs Meyer because he's going to keep New England connections. And he goes and gets Jimmy G, who is really just kind of a poor man's version of Derek Carr. Like, he's not going to be better.
He's going to fit the system better just because he knows the system.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that's going to make that any better.
It was just him wanting to get one of his guys.
Who else did they bring in?
And they can go and
Philip Dorsett, another former Patriot of his.
Yeah, and it opens up the chance that Raiders go quarterback in the draft, though, because Jimmy G's kind of the bridge running guy at this point. So.
I wouldn't be shocked if it's Anthony Richardson.
So you're going to go from this. He's going to do like the 49ers did with Trey Lance and go from a statue to a moving quarterback. You think you're just going to teach him better? You're not that good of a coach.
Yeah, I don't think he is either. But I think that's what it's going to end up being. Now, with the whole Waller being moved off, I do think that they're probably going to re-sign Foster Moreau.
Okay, makes sense.
And bring him
nothing
in.
Special.
Like he's nothing special, but
Dalton
he
Schultz,
did
maybe a little lesser version of a Dalton Schultz.
Yeah, he did fine.
Who's a free agent and someone could still go after.
So, and I think he'll be a cheaper version of Dalton Schultz and still produce
on a team that he wants to be at. Yeah. So it'll keep a guy there. And then you still open up the fiasco with Rodgers, because if you'd asked us 2.5 hours ago, we'd have said Rodgers hasn't made up his mind, but we think he's going to be a Jet. Then it comes out that he was on the McAfee show, and he goes, "Oh no, I told him on Friday, trade me to the Jets. Like, that's who I want to go to. I even told the Jets, I want you to add my buddies, Mercedes Lewis, Alan Lazard, and Randall Cobb." Well, the Jets went out and added Lazard, $44 million for 4 years.
Yeah.
Who is probably the third receiver on their team, if you ask me. So Randall Cobb is like the sixth, but that's
he would be.
He's like,
he would be.
You're really just doing it because you want Rodgers.
He also wants OBJ. But then he also said, but who doesn't want OBJ?
Yeah, I think that one I don't think he expects that one, but I think he genuinely thinks that whoever signs me knows they have to get Randall Cobb. He's making his buddies get paid props. I mean,
yeah.
If you have it out there that you can flop it on the table and go, pay my buddies and I'll come play for you. Okay.
There's already a meme out there of him complaining about Green Bay never giving him any weapons, and then he's going to New York asking for the same weapons that they gave him. Like, there's already a meme out there of it.
I've even seen the one meme that came out that said, currently Rodgers is the GM of the Packers, the quarterback of the Packers, the GM of the Jets, and the owner of the Bears. So you never know with Rodgers. I mean,
with what he's trying to do with the bringing all these guys in, I do feel like there's going to be at least part of the trade. One of these guys is going to be part of it in that receiver room, because you're bringing all these extra receivers in. So someone like Elijah Moore,
I think it's Elijah Moore,
or even Denzel Mims. I don't really know if Denzel Mims is enough to do anything.
I don't know if Mims moves the needle because he hasn't amounted.
But Elijah Moore, maybe even Corey Davis if they don't cut him, because I'm fairly certain that they're going to cut him
for the money.
Yeah,
I could see Elijah Moore going back as part of a deal for Rodgers. The understanding, it sounds like, is that they're just working on what the compensation for Rodgers is, because the Packers still want to get back a fair amount.
Yeah.
And because the Jets are doing all this, guys like Mike White is now in Miami, and as a Dolphin fan, I kind of like it because Mike White proved last year he can spin it, and he's not that old. And if Tua gets hurt, the thing that hurt the Dolphins was Bridgewater could not spin it. I mean, you had nothing after you started running down the list of guys that were undrafted rookies and everything else that were trying to come out. So getting a guy like a Mike White, I mean, I think the crazy part we saw was the money that guys like Mike White are getting, because you see a backup quarterback getting $8 million a year.
Yeah, like it's
Taylor
going up a lot.
Heineke's gets signed by the Falcons for $20 million over 2 years. We're talking $10 million for a guy that maybe starts some, maybe he's the backup. We don't really know what the situation's going to be with the Falcons, Baker's getting 8.5. He might be starting. He might not be starting. I mean, there's a few guys that there's been some money going to the backup quarterback room.
So those two situations, I really do feel like Ryder is going to be the starter. I feel like that Heineke is going to just be kind of a helper of the way he was with Sam Howell.
Exactly. Props for Heineke, because at the end of the year, he's the guy that said, no, give Sam the chance. He's the reason that Washington's, who signed Jacoby Brissett to give competition now, but he's the reason that Washington said Sam Howell might be a chance. He's the reason he got a chance to go out and play a good football game against the Cowboys that last week and get a win.
Yep.
It was Heineke that walked in and said that, and you don't get that out of NFL players. Sam Heineke, we're supposed to give our favorite players. Sam Heineke's a guy that could be a borderline guy that I like as one of my favorite players in the league on a character guy. He's no Joe Burrow, just so we're clear. Favorite NFL player, Joe Burrow.
Mine too.
So we're not much creativity for you there, Chris, but we both love us some Joey B.
Joe Breezy, baby.
But it is crazy that, I mean, there's so much money going to guys that aren't going to take the field. With all the positions that you need to be on the field, you're paying guys that these teams are saying, we might play the field, you might not. The Dolphins are pretty much saying, Mike White, you're going to play. We guarantee Tua misses at least 2 games. I mean, do you pay $16 million to a guy that you're about to, when you've already given the 5th-year option, so now both guys are under contract the same number of years. Tua and Mike White will both be under contract for the next 2 years. You said you want to extend Tua. I mean, what I feel like it is if Tua gets hurt, Mike White's auditioning to get the extension that Tua would have got. Because Mike White's only 27. I mean, he's younger than what Geno was, so if he goes out and does a Geno thing, the Dolphins do it.
Yeah, but I mean, Geno had the pedigree of being like the top guy. He had a pedigree being a top guy, like a starter, but he ended up getting injured.
Yeah.
And, like, he has the actual pedigree of being something and then just kind of falling, and then it was like, hey, you finally, like, opened it up for him.
Well, my dreams.
I think Mike White is. I think what we're seeing, and it might be that we're finally seeing who he is, or we might be seeing the beginning of it, or we might be seeing who he is at his max.
True, and that could be. I mean, there's just a lot of questions
to
there.
break out at this point at this age, or to show what you got at this age.
I guess, wasn't it last year and the year before each season game? He's had at least one 400-yard passing game. I mean, and he's only started in 10 games.
I'd have to look at who they played for that. But
well, that's true. But opponent matters. But 400 yards in the NFL is still 400 yards.
It's really good. But if you're going against like the Detroit Lions defense,
hey,
like
the Detroit Lions, you want to bring them up.
They were the 31st ranked passing defense in the NFL, and the second worst was the Seattle. Or the worst was Seattle. So if you passed for 400 yards against them, congratulations, you did something cool in the NFL, but you did it against the 2 worst passing defenses.
This is true. But the Lions made some moves. They added David Montgomery. I think it's the only addition that they made. Off the top of my head, I think they've re-signed some of their own guys. Anastopoulos, the linebacker.
They brought in they re-signed Isaiah Buggs. They signed Cameron Sutton, cornerback from
right.
Pittsburgh.
From the Pittsburgh Steelers, who was coming off an injury, I believe.
And then they also signed cornerback Emmanuel Mosley from the 49ers.
Which is proving that they know they had secondary issues, so they're going to address it. I mean, get some veterans in there. Their defense was the flaw. The back end of their defense was a big issue last year. They had David Montgomery, who I think is just what you had in Jamal Williams, but younger and more banged up. I mean, David Montgomery, the last 3 seasons with the Bears, hasn't finished a season, and I think that's why the Bears think Khalil Herbert could be the guy, because they haven't signed anybody yet. Unless they're going to go in the draft after something. You're seeing some of the names that are running backs fall off the board now, with Miles Sanders going to the Panthers and other things that maybe the Bears genuinely think, we should give Herbert the opportunity, which we said last week. He deserves it.
So here's something crazy. An idea that I've actually been kind of thinking about for my next mock. With everything that the Bears have been doing, I wouldn't be shocked if they went for Bijan. Like, I think they should still go.
They have 1 or 2 first-round picks.
1.
They only have 1.
Yeah.
So
9. They should still go. They should still go defense, in my opinion. But if they did go for Bijan, Like, Khalil Herbert is fine. Like, he's a good running back.
Yeah.
But it's like Rachaad White. I mean, Rachaad White is a good running back, but you could probably find someone better.
Yeah, you might be.
So
that could be interesting.
Like, I mean, add Bijan to
at
that.
the same note,
And they already addressed their offensive line to help out.
Yeah.
Like, they're making moves to do something, and if they decide that a running back should go right there, like, I mean,
Dan Campbell's way. I don't argue anything Dan Campbell says at this point. And that's not even saying that you've got to factor that, what's it called? They could still get the kid out of Georgia, Jalen, after his senior day today.
Yeah, we need to talk about
that. Showing at his senior day, they say.
I watched a few clips.
10 pounds over what they projected his weight to be. I know that.
He ended up coming in at 323 pounds, 9 pounds overweight. He looked sluggish. He could not get around stuff. I don't know what else to say. It looked more like there's no self-control. Like, I know one of the things coming out of Georgia, a lot of people talked about that Kirby had to, like, get onto him a lot. And I think that's part of the issue is he just, like, there's no commitment to him. Like, you have to be a drill sergeant to him to keep him going. Like, on his own.
And when that works in college because you can treat him like a kid.
Yeah.
But when he gets to the NFL, you got to be a big boy.
There's like, just he's
put your big boy panties on.
There's something about it. Like, it's not a good look because you skip combine. He weighed in at the combine at 315 pounds.
So 2 weeks later,
2 weeks later, he put on 9 pounds.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not a good look. You put on weight, you look sluggish, you already have character concerns. Now you're having these concerns where people are going to question your commitment to playing because 2 weeks after...
While you're dealing with off-the-field issues during the most important job interview of your life.
I'll say this so that it's actually recorded. I've already said it to Dustin and Cheyenne. I would not be shocked if he's on the board when the Cowboys pick, and I wouldn't be shocked if he's still on the board in the second round right now.
Yeah, the way he's literally
his skill set is amazing.
Single-handedly tanking himself.
Yeah, everything that's going on with him with the personal issues and now this, like, I would not be surprised if he's there in the second round.
The only person that I've seen really just screw up the draft process more is Laramie Tunsil with the gas mask.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Dolphins to this day will be thankful for that gas mask because it's led to most of all of what the roster looks like now.
Yeah.
How they beat the Texans. But the gas mask video was one of the most iconic fails of the night before a draft because he was literally about to go 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Most people said, number 1 pick's going to be Laramie Tunsil, and there was this gas mask. And so, no, it's been, I mean, you've still got, and we haven't even touched on half the guys' names. Jamal Williams ends up going to the Saints.
Eckler is asking for a trade.
Eckler asked for a trade. I don't think he gets traded. You think he might?
I mean, it's possible. I mean, at the same time, I say it's possible. It may not, just because the free agency class is pretty deep. The draft is pretty deep.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough to pay a running back that doesn't even rush.
Exactly, because he's never had a 1,000-yard season. Listen, he can catch the ball. Don't get me wrong, but he's 28 now. Even though he's not racking up the touches at maybe 200 touches a game as a running back, he's getting them in catches. So he's still seeing 275 to 300 touches a game and get hit all these times. He's going to get hit when he's blocking. I mean, he's getting that running back style pounding. He's not a big guy. He's muscular.
Yeah.
But he's a little...
He's actually bigger enough.
I think he weighs more than you think, but he's only like a 5'7". Like, he's not a tall
he's
guy.
not. Yeah, he's not very tall. Yeah.
And so, I don't know how that goes. I think he's helps your team if you are a team that uses the running back stuff, but you don't extend him. I don't want to give him a big money deal at 27, going on 28. He's
right. Yeah.
That's the issue. I mean, these guys that are getting running back market's just not that high. Some of these free agents that are signing are only getting, I mean, David Montgomery's only like 25, and he only got $7.5 million to go to the Lions.
Yeah, the running back position is just it's not very valuable. Like once you hit a certain age, like
and there's
no one really you're not lasting the way that you did back in the day.
You take
just
more
don't.
hits than any position except for an offensive lineman, but at least linemen are bracing for a type of contact. That's why they can build and last for so long. And they hold a lot more weight to them. But running backs, you're getting hit as a blocker every play. You're getting hit as a... And yes, I get it. Receivers get hit too. But you know what? You don't get hit every play. Receivers going to touch the ball.
Receivers don't get hit by defensive linemen and linebackers coming full blast every play.
Receivers only going to get tackled by hard-hitting linebackers and safeties and corners. And he's going to get 100 tackles all season if they catch the ball in hands. And that's not how many times he's going to hit hard. Your starting running back's going to get hit 15 times in a game where it's like, bam!
And a lot of those are going to be coming in the backfield.
Exactly. You're asking to do it. And sure, there's been times where the Chargers' offensive line's been up and down, so maybe that's part of why he hasn't. And then he was behind Melvin Gordon at one point, so that slows down his chances. But the last 2 years, he's been exclusively the guy. And I think he's got 950 and 975. Like, not once have you cracked 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
In an offense that's, yes, they're pass happy, but you only have to average 65 yards a game, and that was back when it was 16 games.
So now
to get 1,000 yards rushing.
Yeah, now you got an extra game.
And now you have an extra game. So
I mean, he's a fantasy stud.
Oh, yeah, he's a first-round pick in a
Yeah.
fantasy league, but that's only if you're a PPR league.
Yeah.
He's a touchdown guy.
He's helped me
They
win.
give you the ball at the 4, just like the Lions did last year with Jamal Murray, or Jamal Williams, the Saint running back who, with the questions of pondering around Kamara, there's a very good chance that Williams at least starts this year.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen with Kamara. I mean, legal issues are out there.
I feel like that is the exact reason why he went there. Because they were looking for someone that could pound the rock.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of pounding the rock, that means that Taysom Hill is probably going to take a back seat or like not play very much at all, because that's what he basically specialized for the Saints last year, was that 10-yard to goal line area where Jamal Williams is going to be specializing.
And you factor that this is the best quarterback that the Saints have had since Drew Brees retired, and you don't take your better player off. It was one thing when you were throwing out questionable quarterbacks to let Taysom Hill take a rep and do his goofy, quirky thing, but you can't take... Look, I like Carr, but we get it. He's not a top 10 player in the league, but he's still a good enough player that you're not taking him off to go,
you're not
hey,
taking him off to do a gadget play.
Yeah, not 10 times a game like the Saints do. They're constantly throwing him out there, and I just don't...
Speaking of running backs again, Miles Sanders to Carolina.
Yes, that one. We briefly touched it, been talking about.
This is a really good one, and it's a smart one that a lot of people overlook. The reason why he went there is Deuce Staley, his running back coach for Philadelphia, is now the running back coach in Carolina. So he left Philadelphia to go to Carolina with his running back coach.
Okay, so
that's the connection as to why.
With the coaching staff. That does open up. Wonder what the Eagles will do. I'm intrigued by the signing they made in Rashad Penny, because I think Seahawks fans will tell you.
Well, they brought back Boston Scott.
Yeah. I think
and Kenneth Gainwell. They got Kenneth Gainwell.
They have Gainwell, but I think Gainwell's more of the gadget running, catching guy. He's not getting 200 carries.
He's a small dude.
If Rashad Penny could just put together a healthy season, I mean, he's not a bad player. Rashad Penny, it seems like every year comes out in weeks 1 and 2 and runs for 125 and a touchdown. You're like, hey, fantasy waiver wire, why didn't we draft this guy? He's going to be a stud. And then
2 weeks later,
rupture an Achilles. I mean, it's never something small. This guy's there goes my ACL. There goes my other ACL. There goes my Achilles.
Yep.
And so that makes it interesting that you think he's got something. He clearly has to have worked out well for them in some capacity, because he got hurt so early in the season this year that Kenneth Walker took over and there was no going back.
Well, I mean, I knew going in that Kenneth Walker was going to
take the job.
I think everyone knew that he was going to go in there and end up taking it.
And so that's interesting. But the Lions the Panthers had some success in guys like Foreman and Foreman had a solid down stretch run, he's a guy that could see some run for team. That might be a guy the Cowboys go after. They want a power back guy who could still.
It could be.
He's kind of a poor man's Derrick Henry, I would say. Like that body type.
He was running for Derrick Henry when Derrick Henry got injured.
It's true. He did run for Derrick Henry at one point, so he really is like.
And he did well with Tennessee during that time.
He's one of those guys that seems like he does something decent, but everyone's like, he's good, but we could do a little better, and you don't really keep him.
Yeah.
He might be a guy that he could go to Philadelphia and fill in a hole.
I mean,
that would be a powerful option.
He would. And
I'd
as
say
a Longhorn fan, I don't want
back.
it. As a Longhorn fan, I don't want it. I don't want a Longhorn playing for that team. Like, there's already a Texas guy on that team on the offensive line. But they're not going to draft Bijan. That's one of those things that I will.
You don't have to worry about that one.
Oh, what was this?
Did we get breaking news?
Oh, no. Vikings re-signed.
And we've still got some good players available, and we haven't even touched on some of the guys and some of the ads that just even our teams, like Jacoby Brissett being in the division for the Cowboys division is going to be a big deal. Brissett was the better Browns quarterback last year. You just had to go to Deshaun Watson because you paid him that much money. So the minute he was unsuspended, he got the field. That was it. There was no questioning it. Brissett played better football all season.
Yeah.
Brissett had them on the cusp of a playoff spot when Deshaun Watson came back. That's kind of why everyone was like, hey, watch out. Browns might sneak in as a wild card with Deshaun Watson, and, well, that didn't work out. So.
Hey, speaking of the Eagles, James Bradbury gets re-signed
3 years,
and then they cut Darius Slay.
And
he's going to be a post June 1st cut.
And if you're the Lions, you go sign Jared.
That's exactly what I said.
Bring him back.
That's exactly what I said.
Darius Slay was a very good Lion. He liked being the Lions, but the team sucked. He knew he needed to rebuild. He was getting older, so you traded him to the Philadelphia Eagles. He got success, but guess what? Now you're good. You were right there on the edge of being damn good. He still has good football in him. You go sign that man.
That is exactly like someone had mentioned the Bears, and I was like, no, he has to go back to the Lions.
You go to the Lions.
He has to go back.
Go
to the
full
Lions.
circle. He goes to the Lions, and he says, "Let's do this."
Yeah.
The Lions are so close. They're so close. When I go to Shreveport in July, I'm going to go and tell you that I'm doing a futures bet at Shreveport because it's lame old Texas. I can't do it here. But I am doing a futures prop bet on a Lions-Jags Super Bowl. Right. I know it's a long shot,
if
it hits, if Lions-Jags hit, I'll probably make $1,000 on a $500 or a $50 bet.
Speaking of long shots, how's that bet going about Anthony Richardson being the number one pick now?
It's gone now. I think
so is. I tried to say it.
The Panthers are going to pick someone that's going to start.
Yeah.
Day one. They're not going to pick the project guy, so that's going to go in. I mean, he did have good numbers and measurables, and so he might be it was a fun bet to throw $5 at if you caught it before the odds went up. But you got to stay away from it now and looking at what they're going to do. It sounds like probably Stroud. Maybe we see something after Bryce's pro day. Bryce has his pro day next week. He didn't throw
his size is going to be the thing that kills everybody.
Which just, I see it, but he's lived his whole life at that size, and he played in the SEC. Like, he's taken big hits.
He's been that size his entire life.
And
entire life.
His entire life.
He came out of his mama's womb that way.
I mean, he's not that big. It's possible. And so, I don't like that it's that big of a knock on him. I mean,
well, it's because you got people like Kyler Murray, who was almost the exact same size, built a little bit differently, but about the same size, who's going through injuries. You've got Lamar Jackson, who is a little bit bigger, but he's got that same skinny frame.
It changes the style.
Who are going through injuries.
It's different styles of play to me.
So it's the body frame. Like
you're
going to take hits,
but Kyler takes hits getting out of the pocket, and for the most, I mean, he had the big injury last year, but he had been healthy. Kyler's a bit more of a head case issue.
He's played hurt.
Yeah, Kyler's a head case issue. That's what's hurt his.
Yeah.
Bryce stays in the pocket. He'll throw the ball from there.
You might want to go watch some.
I mean, I know he can get out and run some.
Because he actually moves quite a bit, and he waits for guys to get to him before he throws. Like he does not make like he still makes really good throws from it.
Yeah.
But he waits so the defense breaks down so he can get that throw that he needs. Like he'll wait to the last second. It's not a smart thing that he does sometimes.
Which that's gonna cause him to get hit more. So
he's gonna be RG3 if he don't watch out.
Man, we don't want to see those. I liked RG3. I wanted him to be so good, but he only had that 1 year. Juju Smith-Schuster pulls a dummy Juju Smith-Schuster thing. Yeah.
Juju.
The Kansas City Chiefs come out and say, we're signing back all of our weapons and we're running it back. Well, last year the Kansas City Chiefs paid Juju 1 year, $11 million. And so what does he do? He goes and signs for 3 years, $11 million a year. With New England.
He's like, man, I like that $11 million. Let's just go for it every year.
He's gonna go play for $11 million a year in New England, where he's technically the number one guy. I mean, they're not. With Myers leaving, he's the guy.
Yeah,
but Myers is a better receiver, and he struggled being their number one guy because he's a possession slot kind of guy, and that's kind of what Juju is at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, you also got to think of the fact that last year they had to deal with 2 defensive coordinators playing offensive coordinator.
That does play into it.
So now they have a real offensive coordinator that's an actual offensive coordinator.
And that could help, but I still just don't. I don't think it helps the fact that they don't have anyone on the outside.
I agree. Because to me, Juju is a number 2. He's always been a number 2.
Yeah, he's a good number 2.
Yeah.
He's a good number 2 who can catch you 90 balls as a slot guy because he's got a frame to him. Juju can take a hit. And he has to because he's an idiot.
We saw him lay out perfect.
That was also true. That was some fun shot, too.
I had to bring that one up. That was
perfect makes Antonio Brown crazy, and then Antonio Brown turns around and craps on Juju after Juju gets the retribution for Brown.
I'll tell you what. So here's another thing that I wanted to talk about is actually the Denver Broncos.
Their O-line.
They beefed up their O-line so
They got to figure out how to save money for that terrible quarterback contract.
And so the Broncos beefed up their offensive line with there it is. Yeah, Ben Powers from the Ravens and Mike McGlinchey from the 49ers. They have no issues on offense anymore. Except for the fact that they were apparently trying to trade Judy and Sutton.
Yeah, they're whispering about trading their star young wide receivers. It's like Judy played great football. As bad as that team was, the last half of the season, Jerry Judy was low-key throwing up 8 catches for 75 to 90 yards a game.
Yeah.
If you weren't paying attention, Jerry Judy's a good football player.
First for Judy.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not. Look, he's a good player, but he hasn't done the stuff needed to be able to say that. He's not Devontae Adams. He's not one of those guys. Hopefully, that doesn't make a weird noise. Oh, no.
All right. Well, now we're going to move on to the next subject.
This is true because we learned that we like our time frames, and I was going to try to get to a crafty transition, but we're going to just keep moving on.
Yeah, I do like the transitions are good. But it really does make it hard to get those timestamps.
It does, because what happens is when we do our transitions is that we proceed to talk 5 minutes about our transition. So with that said, the next thing going on in the world is tonight, or it started last night, but tomorrow morning, 11 a.m., it gets crazy. The NCAA tournament starts. The madness is going to be real. And the first thing I have to compliment on is that I picked them anyway because I said I would, but I can't love my Oral Roberts pick as much anymore. I should have said it. I thought the committee would give my guys a 13 or a 14 seed, and they'd get to sneak up and punch someone in the face that was a 3 or 4 seed. No, they gave Duke a really bad 5 seed after Duke has been on fire lately. Duke's won 9 in a row, wins their conference tournament, gets a 5 seed. Well, that's who Oral Roberts plays in the first round. There are people picking Duke to win as a Final Four team out of that 5 seed. Now, I still picked Oral Roberts because it's Duke, and you never know with Duke. Sometimes they win it all. Sometimes they lose in the first round. They're kind of like Kansas in that aspect, where you accept them because they're a blue blood, but you never know. They can screw you up. Did you do your bracket?
I did a last minute.
Oh, okay.
So I've got one.
I've got.
We're gonna see how it goes.
I did my whole bracket. We put it in I have it in our Buck and Mike ESPN fantasy basketball group. Y'all can go join. It's free to enter. Just fun. We're gonna keep an eye on them throughout the week.
So I do need to enter mine into that.
Yeah, enter through. I've got my Final Four. I've got Kansas, Purdue, Texas as the 2 seed, and then the shocking one I have here is I have the Creighton Blue Jays coming all the way in as a 6 seed in the Final Four. They've got some things I liked about their team and how their matchups lined up. And I picked the Texas Longhorns. God, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. I picked the Texas Longhorns to win the national championship. In the last 15 years, the team that's won the title has either won their conference tournament or their conference regular season championship. Every time. Like, if you don't win one or the other, you're not going to win the national title. Like, that's just how the odds have played out. Texas got on a roll, handled up their business against Kansas. Kansas has looked slippery down the stretch, but I think they're just that talented with some of their good wins. I think Texas gets through, and I think Texas might actually be our national champion. It's going to make me sick. But that's where I went.
I'm really hoping that it happens. All right, so I do actually have Creighton going into the Sweet 16. So I do have them there. I have them going against Arizona there. I have Arizona going ahead of them.
Okay.
But so as I was looking at some of this, I picked a few upsets. But once it got down to basically the Elite Eight, all the upsets were gone out of my picks. Like, for instance, I had
You stopped having
Furman.
Cinderellas.
Yeah.
You had Furman going that deep?
What is that? The first round.
Okay.
So they made it out of the first round.
Okay. My daughter has Vermont winning the national title as a 15 seed. Because I make everyone in my house do brackets.
Played Virginia. Okay, yeah. So I have Furman beating Virginia.
I can see it. Virginia is the most boring team in college basketball to watch. They're such a defensive minded program that they're literally like first to 55. It's so boring to watch, but effective.
Then I had another upset in that same area. So I had Charleston beating San Diego State.
That is a very popular 12-over-5 matchup, actually. The other fun fact that I learned, because I did some reading on it, was the play-in games that started last night and are going tonight. At least one of those play-in teams has made the Sweet 16 7 of the last 10 years since they started that. That team that's playing an extra game.
Okay.
And having to travel. And so when you're picking them, think about that fact that maybe it plays in. That these are things that you might want to factor in when you're filling out, because you have until tomorrow's games to tip off to fill out a bracket and get it up and running. That another popular team that people were talking about was the Providence over Kentucky was one I heard a lot about.
Providence over Kentucky.
That would be your 11. I actually picked Pitt to beat Xavier and make it to the Sweet 16.
Whoa!
I have Pitt, who played last night and won on a missed buzzer beater, beating Iowa State and Xavier to get to the Sweet 16. So
Kentucky. I'll look at this real quick.
there's some fun ones going on. The state of Texas led.
I have Montana State over Kansas State.
Oh my! Hey, but you know what? You've seen crazy things.
I was like, you know what? I like this. I'm doing this.
One of the polls I read is that tomorrow the corporate business world on average will lose $1.9 billion in productivity revenue because people will be focused. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, no one at my job knows I have a show yet, so they're not going to watch this. Thankful for my job. Thanks to Stephen Farmer and SNK Consultants for helping me get there. And my friends that I've been sending his way. But I will 1,000% be using my 3 monitors that they have at our station to have basketball, online training, emails. I'm going to do it. There's no way not to. One, I have to talk about it with you guys, so I got to know what happened.
Yeah.
I mean,
two, I'm actually going to have to keep up with this crap.
Not
crap. I'm about to keep up with this
I genuinely enjoy it, but the state of Texas has the most teams by far. Like, the next closest is 5. Texas has 7, and that with.
I mean, we are the biggest state.
Yes, but
second biggest.
you
whatever.
still.
Second biggest,
But the crazy
whatever.
thing is that you have 7 teams in it, and 3 of them, if you count Baylor as a 3 seed, are considered legitimate championship teams. If you go look right now, I think ESPN has a poll up among their 25 experts that range anywhere between 10 and 14 teams that they can legitimately say and make a true case for winning this national championship.
You know,
Like, that's how open this field is.
what's funny is, so I have Texas and Texas A&M playing each other,
I do too.
and then I have Texas and Houston playing each other.
I had Houston lose a little earlier. I actually have Houston losing to Iowa because, like I said last week, I think Houston is a team that they're flashy, they're fun, but they don't play anybody most of the season. And so when they get to these big tournaments, it shows something. But you know what? Texas A&M is super underrated. I went back and looked at their numbers, and look, I'm not an A&M guy, but you know what? A&M was 4-1 this year against top 25 competition.
Oh, okay.
A&M went 15-3 in the SEC, which was one of the best conferences in the sport this year, a Power 5 conference. They have wins over the number 1 overall team in the nation in Alabama. They beat Arkansas twice. They beat Auburn twice. They beat Missouri twice. These are all teams that I'm naming that are in this very tournament. And now A&M's a 7 seed. They said A&M sitting here is a perfect storm of team. They're a great offensive rebounding team. They make their free throws and they get to the line a lot. They have a 6-year senior that leads the team, and I'm a big injuries. I'm a big advocate in that veteran guy. That's part of why I picked Texas, because the big name for Texas is a senior guard in Marcus Carr. I wouldn't be shocked, right, if we see the Texas A&M Aggies beat Texas and then turn around and make a Final Four run from that. Like that Texas A&M Texas game that we're going to see, I guess that game falls on Saturday or Sunday, that very well might be for a Final Four spot. Because
I am choosing the Longhorns to win.
I did pick the Texas Longhorns against every fiber in my body, but I don't know.
I'm doing it because I'm a Longhorns fan.
I actually screwed around and picked Oral Roberts to make the Sweet 16 because if they were going to beat Duke, they had to beat Tennessee too. And then they lose to Purdue, the number 1 seed, who preseason was a top 3 team, and Purdue's been a very good team all season.
Yeah,
so,
I actually have Duke taking out Tennessee, and Duke taking out Purdue.
Yeah, I ended up I had a lot of fun. It took me a while to write my bracket this year because I went back and looked at all these trends like in a different way that I had in the past, like the stat I said about winning your conference tournament, the factor that I learned this thing about the playing teams. I figured that would be a disadvantage because you're having to do an extra day of travel. You're going to have to play an extra game. And like if you're a team like Creighton, for example, I picked Creighton on the basis that they have a veteran leadership starting 5. Like they're all juniors and seniors. The big knock on Creighton is they lean on their starting 5 heavy. Like they don't have a lot of bench depth that they bring in. So if they get in a pace game and they get tired, that's what's going to hurt Creighton.
Okay.
But when it came to the Creighton versus Alabama, for example, that had to happen in the Elite 8. I took Creighton on the base that Alabama has a good basketball team, but Alabama has the best player on the floor. Brandon Miller is a lottery pick in this year's draft. He's been the best freshman in college. But Alabama's streaky from 3. It's also true. There's some questions going on there. But Alabama gets streaky from 3. Creighton's very good from the outside. So it's like 3-point ball wins games, especially in the NCAA tournament. So it'll be interesting watching how that process goes. The games will be fun. Tomorrow morning it'll wake up, and I think we have 2 1 seeds going like literally 2 of the first games. So I mean, I think we've seen one 16 seed has ever beat a 1 seed. Remember that if you try to be that guy. It's happened one time.
Wow.
And that was the year Virginia got upset as a 1 seed. And you know what Virginia did? They came back the next year and beat my Texas Tech Red Raiders in the national championship.
Yay! Good job, Virginia.
So, I wouldn't go with that. There has actually been, I think it's 2 15 seeds in the last like 6 years, and I think it's like 14 seeds in the last 10. So like every other year, of 14 seeds pulled it off. So some of these lower ones are getting more common, but you're not getting a 16 overall.
So I'm picking too many Cinderellas.
Hey,
As long as the Final Four that I got is...
When you're doing the bracket challenge, you just want to make sure your Final Four get as far as they can. That's how the points work.
You want to know what's funny? Is I started from my winner and worked out.
Oh my goodness, no.
I was like, all right, this is who's winning. All right, who are they facing?
There was one team that got in the tournament that they were I think they're one of the teams doing the play-in games. I can't remember off the top of my head. They ended up like 6 games below 500 for the year, but they caught fire and won their conference tournament. And they knocked a team out that won like 27 games. And it was a small conference, so that team didn't get in the tournament because they didn't get an at-large bid. But that's what the conference tournaments will do to you. Like, you've got to handle your business in the conference tournament. And so it's going to be a fun tournament. You transition into the activity of more basketball.
All right. So we're going to the NBA. Let's talk about Ja.
It's going to go straight to Ja. You have to start with Ja because there's 12 games left in this season. We're not even talking about standings, but that's going to play into it. And Ja's out for a minimum of 8 of them. Now, that's not counting if he misses more because he's in this wellness clinic.
Yeah.
But the NBA came down today, 8 games. But that's not even the worst part. Have you heard the financial aspect of what's gone on here for Ja Morant? Because Ja Morant is a perennial first-team All-NBA guy. Like, he was on pace for that. That's what he is. Well, the way the NBA contracts work is their bonuses and their max contract deals work on getting that nod. If you're first team, second team, or third team All-NBA, your max contract can be more than the other guy. Like, you're allowed to get a 5th-year option on that deal.
Okay.
So Ja Morant, in that picture that came out with the nice lady and all the money all over the place, we're going to put it as PG as we can, but we're an explicit rated show. That was $50,000. Okay? That's most of my life jobs that I've ever had more than my year salary. But that's not the big problem. He's already missed 5-6 games now. He's going to miss at least 8 more. Most think he's probably done. Maybe he might be done with the season. A lot of people are saying they don't even play in this season.
I mean, he probably shouldn't.
And he probably shouldn't because of what's going on. Well, what's going to happen is that once he gets his head on straight, because you'd assume he does.
Yeah.
Let's just say he does. Let's say best case scenario, he gets his head on straight. He likely misses out on first, second, or third team All-NBA now because of these games missed. Which means that his contract offer goes from, for 5 years, $220 million to 4 years, $180 million.
Ooh.
Which means that Ja Morant cost himself $40 million on top of that $50K. So $50K might be nothing, but $40 million is $40 million for all the rich folks.
Yeah,
and
that's
so,
a lot of money. Oof.
For whatever is going on in this guy's head, right? Kid's head. He's actually a kid in comparison to me. He's only like 24. He better figure it out.
Yeah.
Because $40 million, some of these NFL guys get that, and that's that big check.
Yeah.
And he just pissed it away in one season of guaranteed money.
That's hurt. That hurts.
And when you factor in that he plays basketball just like Derrick Rose played basketball, it's one aggressive dunk from being it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just what it is. And sure, Derrick Rose has managed to stay around the league and been a quality role player on some teams and some things, but I bet you Derrick Rose wishes his knees held up because Derrick Rose is one of the best players in the league and was winning MVP awards.
Yep.
And so, man, I don't know.
I didn't know that part. That's man, that puts a whole new perspective on
what's going
on what's going on because he's throwing away he's throwing away a lot. I mean, so he needs to get his crap together.
Yeah, like this isn't just a bad like run of life decisions. Like this is a career altering, life altering thing that he's doing because if it does become the worst of the worst, I mean, God forbid, I'm never going to wish the worst of anything. When Ja came out of college, I liked him more than I liked Zion. I said Zion's a really good basketball player. Zion's going to get hurt. Like, I told all my friends that. Zion's fun to watch, but Zion's going to get hurt. Ja Morant should be the number 1 pick. And I guarantee you the Pelicans look back at it and go, damn, we'd have picked Ja. Because they got Brandon Ingram. They got all these guys.
It's the whole
It's the
Kevin Durant and Greg Oden. It's whoever the number 1 pick was when Jordan was picked. I forgot his name.
Jordan went like 9th.
No, he went 3rd.
Michael Jordan?
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking Kobe. Kobe went 9th.
Yeah.
There's some guys though that you just look at it and you're like, man, kid, someone better grab him and do something because
his dad needs to go. Like, his dad needs to go.
And it's weird because his dad isn't this tough guy. Like, we know what his background is. It's been all over the media. We've talked about this. He's not this bad dude.
Yeah, well, he's come out recently and said that the gun wasn't his. He's not for violence and whatever, all this other crap. Like, we know that that's who he is.
Yeah.
Or that's not who he is.
Yeah,
like,
and
we know that.
That's what's just making it so crazy that all this stuff is what he's doing. Like it, and then you factor in that the playoff race is insanely close right now. Like, the Grizzlies are probably safe. Let's just put it. The Grizzlies are the 2 seed in the West right now. I haven't even gone to the East. Just looking at the West, the Grizzlies are 2. They're 4 game back of the Nuggets. I would say they're probably safe. There's 12 games left. It would take a crazy series of losses for them to not make the playoffs in some capacity.
Yeah.
The fun part sitting at the fact that the Phoenix Suns are number 4. They are 3 games up on they're 4 games up on the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz are 11. That's out of the playoffs. So with 12 games left, they're only 4 games up on not being in the playoffs, or they're hosting a first-round playoff series. Like, that's how close we're talking. And the Suns have to do it without Durant because he got hurt in warm-ups the second game on the team. Thank you. I mean, Golden State's starting to get back into form. Klay Thompson's been lights out lately. For the people that thought Klay Thompson wouldn't bounce back, I think he's hit like 54 threes in the last 6 games.
If anyone thought that he wasn't going to bounce back.
Look, he might not be the defensive player, but oh boy can shoot.
Yeah.
Like, him and Steph, the Splash Brother name is the greatest name that ever came. The only thing I feel like the NBA got to miss out on was one thing. And it's that when Ray Allen was still at the back end of his career and he was still playing role player minutes for Miami, and the whispers came out that Golden State wanted him. Because if they'd assigned him to be the Splash Father, it would have been the greatest nickname of all time. Tell me it wouldn't have been. Just the 3 of them. You had arguably 3 of the greatest shooters of all time. The Splash Father.
He already has, like, the best nickname ever.
Yeah. Jesus Shuttlesworth.
Yeah.
That's not a nickname. That's a TV character.
But that's his nickname. Like, that's what they gave him. Like, that's, like, literally people just call him that. Like, I mean, I know it's not an actual nickname, but that's what they call him.
People forget about Ray Allen is that as Ray Allen's career went on, yes, he was a lights-out shooter. He was always a lights-out shooter. But Ray Allen got into the hoop, and he went to the cup. Like,
yeah.
In his early days, Ray Allen was
coming out of UConn. Man, he was really good.
He was a monster. So it's funny
he's the same draft class as Kobe and Allen Iverson.
Oh yeah,
like
great players,
tremendous class.
And so, but they're coming together. The Clippers are, they're hovering they're sitting 2 games above the last playoff, 3 games above the last playoff spot, and they're the last team on the knot. The play-in tournament's where things get crazy because Minnesota's still hovering, and that's without Karl Anthony Towns because he's been hurt. They think he'll be back in hopefully a week. That would be a big boost for them. But right now, the Oklahoma City Thunder are the 8.
That's true.
That's right. I love them. They're going to tank. We're 1 game below 500. We're going to go on a losing streak. It's happened all season. That's what happens when you're young and you're just not quite there. Next year, watch out. We are coming.
Watch out for that 9 seed.
That 9 seed, I'm watching them plunder.
When that 9 seed, when they get healthy,
that 9 seed is doing this. They're floundering for
when
water.
When they get healthy,
that 9 seed is the Dallas Mavericks.
that 9 seed.
They are hurt right now, and Kyrie's injury they're saying might be worse than they thought. It doesn't sound like he's going to be ready to go the rest of the season. And
well, that sucks. I didn't know that.
yeah, and the other part you're running into is that they haven't gotten to play together a lot. Luka got hurt quickly after. They're gonna have to.
They really didn't mesh that well in the first place.
They got to figure out a way to re-sign Kyrie because that's the only way you're gonna find out if the trade's gonna work. You don't have enough time. There's a reason the Miami Heat lost the first championship when they made that big three. It's not just easy to throw it in. Yes, Dirk played out of his mind too. That plays into it. But getting through the regular season can be easier, but navigating it to some point, chemistry comes into play. And that whole season, you watch that Heat team have questions. As soon as Luka and Kyrie get on the court together, you see things. You see hesitations. You see Luka wants to go and try to play Luka ball, where the ball stops. Then Luka's like, well, I don't have to do that because I've got Kyrie. And Kyrie's like, well, that's what I can do with the ball. And so they've got to have more time.
They do. That's the only thing that's going to help Luka is the time and chemistry to build together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, other than that, if you never do it, never do it, like it doesn't matter who else you bring in throughout the season. Like, he has to be able to get some chemistry with them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you bring in.
Exactly. And because right now, like you said, it would be my Thunder be playing against the Mavs. I think the Mavs are still more equipped to be a winning team right now. I wouldn't sleep on Oklahoma if they snuck into a playing team, though, because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a monster. And Josh Giddey's a good ball player, so that could be an interesting game. Like, these young Jalen Williams out of Arkansas was the first-round pick they picked, and he's been way more than I thought we were going to get out of him. So that's intriguing. The Lakers hanging around. We were burying their casket 2.5 weeks ago, and Anthony Davis comes back the other night, goes for 38. They get a win. They're one game up on the Jazz Jazz and Pelicans. That's holding them in the playoffs. They're 7-3 in their last 10, and most reports say LeBron comes back in a couple of the games. So you get LeBron back, you add him to the fold with D'Lo and Vanderbilt and these guys they added at the deadline. You get the Lakers healthy, and that all meshes together with role players to stars.
Yeah,
I don't want to play. I don't want to play LeBron in the playoffs. Like, we know what LeBron is in the playoffs. He's 38, he's 10, and he's 8. Like, book it. And so, if you're the Memphis Grizzlies, who might be the 2 seed, and you might not have John Morant, you don't want the Lakers to be the 7.
No.
You really don't, because that 7, and if you're the Suns sitting there at 4, you're just trying to make sure you don't have to worry about playing against them.
You're worried about not having to play them early and not having to run against them.
Yeah, because he's very well likely going to miss running into the playoff times there. So it's going to be an interesting play out, and that's not even factoring in that here we are sitting in the East where Milwaukee's already clinched. The Celtics are likely to clinch soon. They've got a good team. I mean, the East is a strong conference. The Miami Heat, in most people's eyes, have had a down season. Jimmy Butler's a huge Nickelback fan, we learned. After a loss, he likes to rock it out in the locker room, and apparently the players are okay with that, which is good, because Nickelback is a good band.
I agree with that.
Anyone who craps on Nickelback just wants to follow trends.
Yep.
I've been to 3 of their concerts, twice backstage. They are cool dudes and a damn good band.
I would also say this: the same people are probably the same ones that hated on Creed whenever everyone started.
You know who else they hate on? They hate on the country rock music version of them, Rascal Flatts. Because Rascal Flatts is the country music version of Nickelback, where their sound is pretty much the same in all their songs, but the song is still pretty damn good.
You know, I'm not a fan of Rascal Flatts.
I've always liked.
I like the Mary Beth song.
I start crying.
The Mary Beth song.
Okay.
Like the one about cancer.
Yeah.
Like that one, I like that one. But the rest of them, I can't handle his voice how high it is.
Boulevard of Broken Dreams is like the most popular ringtone of like the 2000s. Like
Green Day.
no,
Green
not
Day.
Boulevard. No, he has they have a song that's along. What is it?
Not Green Day.
I'm gonna have to look. Green Day gets in Boulevard of
it
Broken
is.
Dreams. I have that one wrong, but there is a Dreams of something where what hurts the most is the most popular one by Rascal Flatts. It's like one of the most popular ringtones of the 2000s. Like if you think about
Is
it,
it
like
really?
everybody and their mom had that damn song on their phone.
Yeah,
It was a good
I
song.
was never a fan of. I was never a fan of it.
Yeah, they're a similar sound, but.
Yeah, let's get back on those.
Back on the sports. See, we're gonna vary this. What happened? But the Eastern Conference, you've got the Wizards are sneaking in. Porzingis is having a better season than he did his year. He was an All-Star, so they might sneak in. You've got the Bulls right there on the border, who they have all the talent, but they have not been able to put it together.
I
This
tell you
season.
what, who is the player with the Knicks that is not happy right now? Who is that?
Right now with the Knicks, I wouldn't say any of them.
There was one of them that was complaining about he's tired of just running up and down the court for conditioning. Like I don't remember who it was, but he is not happy. He was not happy.
I mean, the Knicks have been playing some good ball. You know, I'll say a guy on the Knicks that I might have been wrong about. Jalen Brunson. I gotta say, the young man is I knew he was good, but I just didn't think he'd hold up physically. He's so small.
Mitchell Robinson.
Oh yeah, he doesn't get the ball a lot though.
Yeah, he said
God,
he's tired of just being out there for cardio.
He would be great on both the Mavs or the Thunder. Both teams that could use a front court rebounding guy. He would be a very good asset. He was a guy that people thought might get traded last season.
No,
So,
okay.
And then with all the adventures and all this, we roll into baseball.
You know what? Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and hit on our
Favorite basketball
yeah.
player. We didn't do that, did we? My favorite basketball player right now is Josh Giddey. Current Josh Giddey, young kid on the Thunder. He makes the game just look so easy.
I just want to say it's very surprising, you know, with how big of a fan you are of another player that you would choose him over.
My all-time favorite is Oklahoma City Russell Westbrook, but as he's gone on to other teams and all the stuff he's had to go through, his game has changed at times. The style he's had. He had some quality games with the Rockets and times with the Rockets, but he left Oklahoma because he knew that the organization knew it was time to give him a chance to compete, and they were ready to rebuild. It wasn't like James Harden and fucking Kevin Durant and how they left, where it was like, oh, I don't want to be loyal and put the work in with this. They wanted out. I full-heartedly think that if the Thunder didn't ever start rebuilding, Russ probably plays out that entire last extension in Oklahoma.
I mean, he probably does.
He loved it there.
And I'll say this about Kevin Durant. As a Longhorn fan, he went to college at UT. My issue with him is their loyalty. There is no loyalty.
No.
Like, I mean, he's bounced around and he is probably going to be on another team in 2 years.
Absolutely. And the way he does it, like he had the Nets built to the team that he wanted the Nets to be, and that didn't work out. He left. Listen, I've looked at the numbers. Oklahoma plays Golden State, goes to 7 games, has a 3-1 series lead on them. Durant shoots 36% from the field in Game 5, and 38% from the field in Game 7. When they came back and took the series from down 3-1 to win it, the year that his last year in Oklahoma. Oklahoma had that series won. On every factor, Oklahoma was playing good. There were turnovers became an issue the last couple games, which that Golden State team played good defense, and we knew they did. But Durant was not hitting shots, and that's what he was supposed to do. And the reason he got mad because that and Andre Roberson, but that's a whole different person I hate. But Durant didn't want to be the guy to win a championship where he was the leading force scorer. As much as people say, "Oh no, Russ was taking shots that Durant should have taken and all that." No, one of the reasons Durant left is because he passed the ball to Andre Roberson, who would be wide open because he was Ben Simmons before Ben Simmons was, and nobody would guard Roberson. If you don't know who Roberson is, he would stand at the top of the key. He was on the court because he was a lockdown defender. They would leave him butt naked alone, and he would not shoot the ball. And Durant literally just shook his head and got frustrated with that. He didn't get mad because Russ wasn't passing. Now, when it all left, it was the Russ and KD drama because Russ was the other superstar. But but even up until that point, it was, I'm staying with Oklahoma forever. I like Oklahoma.
Yeah.
There was the tornado that went through Oklahoma. When a kid got saved from the carnage, he literally said, I was just praying that KD would come and save me. Like, he was a god in that city. And literally turned and slapped all of them. So for the people that think Oklahoma fans are unrealistic and are hate for him and think, it's just like what LeBron did. No, they're totally different things the way these two guys left their organizations. So just know that.
I mean...
No, it's totally different.
I mean...
Do you want the extra time?
LeBron had a TV special to let everyone know that he was leaving.
The only thing LeBron did wrong, which he also donated all that money to children, but the only thing LeBron did wrong was having a TV special. Because LeBron leaving Cleveland to go to Miami literally was saying, listen, for 4 years leading up, he said, I love Cleveland, I want to stay in Cleveland, but if y'all don't find a way to help where we can get some kind of help. Mo Williams is not a second best player on the team guy. Mo Williams is your 8th best player on the team guy. And I'm carrying us to 60 wins a season. Like, it's no way we're going to be successful here.
No. I get what you're saying. But LeBron still having the TV show of leaving is still on the level of Kevin Durant. You're just putting Kevin Durant higher because you're a Thunder fan.
Well,
so
I don't know.
It hurt you more.
No, I think it might. I think the level of how they left, I can see what you're saying there. But I'm talking about people say that the reason they left and what they left for is the same, and they didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, no.
Durant left a team that was on the cusp of being a championship team.
Yeah, no.
Sam Presti.
Durant's is worse.
Sam Presti, by all accounts, is the best GM in all of basketball. People say it regularly. Look at what Sam Presti's done with Oklahoma now, and all the draft picks we've had, and all the ability to get things, and trading Paul George to get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who has been significantly better than Paul George since that trade happened.
Yeah.
Like, he decided he was going to take the easy way out and go play for a team where, he won an MVP and he won Finals MVP, but you know what? Why do you do that? You can't double team Kevin Durant when you've got to cover Clay and Steph and Draymond and Iguodala and all those guys. So, no, I think there's a difference in running to get an easy title versus going to a situation that I have a chance to win titles. Like, they had a good team in Miami, but that Miami team wasn't as good as that Suns or Golden State team. Golden State just built that team the correct way until they brought in Durant.
This is part of that I agree with and part of it I disagree with. Mainly because, I mean, like I said, I feel like you're putting the Kevin Durant situation a little bit higher just because it is your team. There's going to be
a bias to that. I get that.
So, in my opinion, they're very close. They're not the same reasons, obviously. I think Kevin Durant's is worse because he left an actual team that was on the cusp of being there.
Yeah.
Like, to go to the team that beat him to go there.
Yeah.
So, there is that. I'll give him that.
It's
but
just that people think
LeBron was like, hey, wait, let's go get Bosh. We can have 3 All-Stars on our team. And then we can go play. Oh, man, we lost to a team with 1 superstar. Hey, let's bring in Ray Allen and Mike Miller and let's bring in all these other dudes that can.
Ray Allen.
Don't get me started on dude. Ray Allen was still a sharp shooter.
Oh, but that's why I wanted him to be the splash father.
Yeah, you bring him in to be a 4th guy. Like, you don't need him to be anything more than that.
No, yeah.
So you have him you have Ray Allen being a 4th guy.
Yeah. No, I get you.
The
way they built it,
I'll say that there are differences in the reasons they left, but for what they did, they're still pretty close.
I can see how, the way it hurts the fan bases, but as the way, it just goes down to what Durant's system was, is why it's always been there's nothing he can do that will make me change my mind. Like, he can go back to Oklahoma and win a championship, and I'd still hate him.
Like, it took me until the net situation to the Suns, and then hearing him basically be like, there ain't no loyalty here. You just go. I'm gonna go to another team.
Yeah, and that's the issue with him. So on the topic of, now we go to the old opposite of loyalty, because whereas Durant has no loyalty, everyone playing the World Baseball Classic is loyal as hell to their country, and it is like watching October baseball. Some of these dudes are getting hype. Great Britain has the worst jersey designer of all time.
That was bad.
I mean,
That
Arial
was
black, bold. And then on one of their jerseys, the starting pitcher's letter fell off. And the best part was he lost his
Was
T.
it on?
Yeah, he lost his T. Wasn't the first time the British lost your T.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they were awful.
Hey, I'll tell you what, Mexico's got some nice jerseys.
Mexico, the U.S.
Those are
I love the
nice.
lettering on the U.S. They always have a cool
Yeah,
one. The
yeah, it's
Dominican
kind of the
looks
same
cool.
thing.
Cuban has the cool
Man.
color scheme going on.
I saw someone post Mexico's and I was like, oh man. Then
That Mexico team looks really good. They clinched their spot in the quarterfinals. Quarterfinals started a couple days ago. Cuba already won their first game in the quarterfinals. They ended up knocking out Australia. Australia, which got their first bid in the quarterfinals, actually. So that was a cool opportunity for them. Cuba's advanced. Japan and Italy play at like 5 o'clock in the morning because they're still playing. They have one more game way over in Japan, and then they'll all come over here. Japan's going to run them because Shohei has shown up to the World Baseball Classic and was like, hey, y'all remember when I should have won the MVP possibly last year? Yeah. He was MVP of the group stage, and he's playing baseball like the best player, arguably, that we've ever seen because he's pretty freaking nasty what he's got going on. U.S. bounces back after getting smacked by Mexico. I will say that was an embarrassing loss to lose to Mexico like that for a USA baseball fan.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
they bounced back.
Because I
and-
was making jokes about last week about
Yeah.
how we were going
sure smacked them. But they bounce back. They get a win, a nice win, and then they play. Tonight at 9 o'clock, and if they win tonight, they advance. So that'll lock them up for the last spot. Puerto Rico is actually up right now 5-2 on the Dominican Republic for the last spot in Pool D. That stacked Dominican Republic team might not make the quarterfinals. Whereas Puerto Rico is the king of getting second place. Like the last 3 World Baseball Classics, I think, they were the runner-up. So U.S. plays Colombia tonight, which is 1-2. They should handle their business. But the fun part is, have you ever heard of the name Duque Hebert?
Mm-mm.
Nobody has. Duque Hebert is well, now you probably have. He's a 21-year-old kid out from Nicaragua who was basically playing baseball in our version of the Mexican League, is what we call it. Like the Sunday Baseball League, where guys go that just can't really go baseball and don't want to play softball yet. He goes out in for Nicaragua and pitches in the 9th inning in a game they're down by 5 runs and strikes out Juan Soto on one of the nastiest changeups that I've ever seen. Then proceeds to get Julio Rodriguez and Rafael Devers. He's 21, and an hour after the game, the Detroit Tigers said, welcome to the minors. Because the Detroit Tigers gave him a minor league contract to put him in their system because they said, we saw what we needed in 20 pitches. I mean, you strike out 3 MLB All-Stars?
Yeah.
And when the pitch he threw to Juan Soto, if you haven't seen that video, Juan Soto does this as he's walking off. I didn't see that shit. And so then you have Puerto Rico throws the first ever perfect game over, I think it was 4 pitchers. There's in case you don't know, the starting pitchers are only allowed to throw like 65 pitches. Relievers that come in, I think, can only throw 30 pitches or 35 pitches. It's just because they're still, technically most of them are still ramping up for the big league season. So they don't want them just coming out there humping 100 pitches. But the kid that started the game for Puerto Rico went 5 2/3, 10 strikeouts, and only threw 65 pitches. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say he was going to make it through 9 innings. He was dealing. Are you about to see this?
Yeah.
Look at that nasty drop on that changeup. That is, my goodness.
Ooh, got him on his
He
knee.
took Soto to a knee trying to do the Beltre daddy swing, and it wasn't working.
Whew.
So Mexico, though, they're in the quarterfinals. They beat Canada to seal that this morning. So they're just waiting to see on the finaling of the U.S.-Colombia game as to what seed they get, because there's some run differentials and stuff that come into play. U.S. would likely play against... it looks like the U.S. will likely end up playing against Venezuela, which will be a good game. That game will be in Miami. And then that'll be on Friday. So keep an eye out because now every game's go home and win, and the championship game for the WBC is on Wednesday, I believe, or Tuesday, Monday. Yeah.
Oh, you're asking the wrong person.
It is on Tuesday, the 21st. So we will be able to tell you who wins it next week. But that'll be there. I mean, you've seen some fun stuff. Some of these kids getting out to some Ranger prospects. Because of this stuff, it opened up a chance for the Padres. They had too many of their catchers are playing for World Baseball teams. So they had to call up a 16-year-old prospect in their system. And
What?
so they have a 16-year-old kid catching major league games in spring training for major league spring training games because I guess they have like 5 guys that are in their system. They're all playing for other teams, which props to them for having depth that's good enough to play. But 16-year-old kids out there putting in his work, like it'll be fun seeing that stuff going on. Other than that, I mean, William Byron takes back-to-back NASCAR races. I know we have a couple people that wanted to hear some other sport updates. So the other sport that I was
F1 updates.
I don't have any F1 updates. I don't think their season starts yet, or starts this weekend.
Okay.
Remember, I think we looked that up. The other thing is that I know the trade deadline just passed in the NHL, and I'm not gonna act like you're getting more than 5 minutes of NHL talk from me. I know the Stars are good.
I'm not even gonna act like it.
I know the Dallas Stars have a good team. I personally grew up a Red Wings fan, and it was only because I like to play with Steve Yzerman on the video game. And I'm actually shocked to say that they're currently in the playoffs race. I wouldn't have known that. I'm going to pay attention now. I believe the Stars are good. Maybe they're not as good as I thought they were.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, they're
37 and 18.
They're first in their conference. So, yeah.
My Stars are good.
Dallas Stars might be a team for us
Come
to...
on.
We might have to pay attention. They're the only team that has less than 20 losses in the... Dang, they play a lot of overtime. The Stars have been to overtime 13 times, and they lost all of those. Hey, y'all gotta figure out how to get a goal in regulation, bro, because that extra time ain't working for y'all. I tell you what, they've actually won more games on the road than at home. You know what that says? That says that Dallas fans don't go to hockey games. Because I know I don't. I went once. Been to one hockey game, and I left in the second period because I got bored. Bro,
I've never been to one.
They crap on baseball for being slow. At least between innings was like 3 minutes. 20-minute intermissions?
Is it really?
Twice.
Wow.
I just can't do it.
No.
Y'all are gonna crucify me. Tell me why their line changes feel like they happen so fast that they could cut intermission down by 10 minutes. If y'all want to ruin baseball, I'll come at y'all sports too. Like, come at me, bro. And so, no, it'll be the hockey season. The Stars don't have the most points in the Western Conference though because they lose in overtime so much. So the Vegas Golden Knights and the Los Angeles Kings currently have higher points than them in the standings, and pretty much everybody in the Eastern Conference does. So watch out for the East. But that's me touching on other sports.
Oh, you know what?
At least that I can think of. You got one on the other side?
Yeah. Let me click over to it. There's not much to talk about in the XFL other than the Nooch is the leading passer and the Roughnecks are still undefeated and blowing people out.
That and the city of St. Louis is proving that they can support an NFL team.
Yeah.
The city of St. Louis sold out. Now, they're not playing in the old NFL stadium, but they're opening up more sections to fit people in. Last I checked, I think they sold 38,000 tickets to an XFL Week 3 game. Like,
that's impressive.
That's a damn good sell. Like, that's better than you get for most MLS soccer games, and that's been around for 15 years. So, gotta say that the XFL is doing something right this time. I think it helps. I think the difference, and it really helps, is that having a face like The Rock. The Rock is going to naturally draw an audience because of who he is, even if he's not playing the game.
Yeah. I agree. And, even though, his last film was pretty much a blunder, but...
It wasn't his fault.
Yeah, it was.
It was not his fault.
Yes, it was.
You're talking about Adam? Black Adam?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, the movie wasn't amazing, but the fact that all of it was made pointless by the leadership coming in 2 weeks later, that's what ruined it. Because they were like, hey, we brought Superman back, yay! And then they killed it. Still salty about that, because that was one of the best Supermen you could have got.
So it really was, but they're going to go younger now. All right, so we only touched on it a little bit, and then we kind of got sidetracked. So current and all-time players.
No, that's right. We did really detail it.
Yeah, we know for you, your current and all-time for basketball is, say it again.
Is Josh Giddey Oklahoma City version of Russ. You have to class the team because he's now spent 5 years playing for teams.
So with basketball, mine, I'm going to stay, a homer here and go with Luka. But my all-time, I really had a hard time. I didn't have a hard time because I kind of knew. But my second favorite is so close that I had a hard time not wanting to pick him. But Kobe Bryant is my all-time favorite.
Okay.
He will always be. He always was. Like in middle school, I did a book report, or not a book, a report on Kobe Bryant when he was a year into the league.
Yeah.
Like Kobe has been my dude from the beginning.
Yeah.
Right behind him was Penny Hardaway.
He was fun. I'll say this: I have a Mavs guy that was one of my favorite players because I have some unorthodox players that I like.
Let me guess.
Popeye
Jones.
No.
Okay.
I was one of the biggest Brian, the custodian Cardinal fans.
God.
I loved that guy. I don't know why. He was just something about. Hey, you know what? He was a big part. Some successful Maverick teams. I always loved him. The other one I like to make fun of was the Matrix and that goofy flick thing, but it went in. There's some guys that you could sit and name off, but then we go to baseball. Right now was a little harder. Some of the guys have changed. Some of the styles of play I like are a little different, but Anthony Rizzo, I know he's a Yankee, but I don't get to hang and point at that thing without him. He catches the last out of the World Series, so he's going to get a nod. Mike Trout, because Mike Trout is just, I've never seen anyone do it better. Healthy Mike Trout's the best baseball player I've ever watched in my life. And then my favorite to ever touch a field, though, is actually Atlanta Brave third baseman Chipper Jones.
Oh.
My dad was a Braves fan.
I remember you telling me about that. Okay.
My dad was a Braves fan. Chipper was awesome. Chipper had a massive following too. When he'd come to Arlington, they'd have these big banners. A close favorite though that was also a Brave that spent some time with the Rangers was actually Jeff Francoeur. I love Jeff Francoeur. I was in the autograph line when I was like 9, 10, and I was walking up, and I had Andrew Jones, who I also loved. I grew up loving a lot of Braves because my dad was a Brave fan, but Jeff Francoeur comes and walks up, and this is when he was like just getting, he'll maybe in like 2 or 3 years. He'd been an all-star once already. Like, he's really good, and people forget how good he was with the Braves. And he walks to sign my autograph, and my dad calls me on like 3 people from the front, and I go, hey, hold on, Jeff Francoeur's about to sign my ball. Like, wait. And I couldn't get my dad to hang up before I got up to Francoeur. It's the old school flip phone, and Jeff Francoeur goes, can I, yes, sir. Francoeur takes my cell phone and goes, hello? My dad's like, who the fuck is this? This is Jeff Francoeur, the right fielder for the Atlanta Braves. Well, hey, Mr. Francoeur. So, I'll always have one of the coolest moments with Jeff Francoeur. Cool, then he goes on to be a Ranger and a Royal, and I'm like, all right, I love that guy. Like, I'll always love him.
That is cool.
So,
for current, I had a hard time just because, man, my current is they're not playing anymore. So, it was really hard to just choose someone. But like I said, like Mike Trout is Mike Trout. Shohei is Shohei. But as a Rangers fan, I can't choose an Angel. I just can't.
I like the Rangers.
Like, it was tough for you. It was tough for you to choose a Yankee. I know that had you. Even though he was a former player, right?
That's true.
So these two are players that my team constantly has to go against. I can't choose an Astro. Ain't gonna do it. I'm a Ranger fan. Ain't gonna do it. So
name some Astros I liked though.
Vlad Jr. is just fun to watch. I love watching.
His daddy is probably my second favorite player.
And I love Vladimir Guerrero,
I love
who
Vlad.
was a former Ranger.
Vladdy in right field, and also, mind you, a massive Ranger killer when he was an Angel. But Vladdy in right field was the slowest but strongest cannon you've ever seen. That man would say 15 minutes to get to the ball, but run to third, I dare you. And then we get to football. We said it earlier.
I've got to do my all-time.
Oh, sorry, I forgot your all-time. I was thinking Vladdy at that point.
Yeah. All right, so technically my favorite all-time player is Ken Griffey Jr., but Rusty Greer is my favorite player of all time. No reason. The name Rusty, when I was a kid, I just thought it was cool. And I loved him from then on. It didn't matter if he was just an average player. Like, I love the fact his name was...
I always liked the nickname Chipper. That's why I tried to name my kid that.
So, I think a lot of it came from when I was younger and I played baseball. Someone, whenever I was wearing my uniform, of course, here in Texas, they were like, "You look just like Chipper Jones." I mean, not
Rusty Greer.
You look just like Rusty Greer. And I'm like, all right.
I love that guy now.
Yeah, I love that guy. That's my favorite player.
It's just like, I'm an LSU fan because I played for the Pee Wee football Tigers. And they're the same colors. So I've been an LSU fan.
I was a Laker growing up playing basketball.
Yeah, the people forget how weird ways you can become a fan of a team. And then
I'm glad we talked about that because that keyed into why I was a Rusty Greer fan because I just remembered that story.
And there you go.
That's funny.
And that runs right into why my favorite NFL players, who it is though, is because as an LSU fan, I watched the greatest college offense of all time, led by Joe Burrow. Smoking cigars.
Hey,
that's my football current guy for sure.
Joe Breezy, man, Joe Ice in his veins.
Dude, the swag that man has. Like, he just pisses excellence when he wakes up. Like
it's hard not to love that dude, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard not to love that dude.
And he's fun. His teammates love him. Like,
laid back.
You just had to be glad he was good because if he'd have sucked, it'd have been the opposite. He'd have been nobody would. You either love him because he's good or you fucking hate him because he sucks. Like, and then all-time football player though, rocking going to the Dolphins here. I gotta rock it. Number 99, Mr. Jason Taylor. I loved me some Taylor.
This is going to divide some people knowing that I'm a Cowboys fan, but my favorite player is not a Cowboy.
My favorite players on most of my teams weren't. You heard that.
Yeah. Except for basketball.
I stayed pretty true to home on basketball.
Hey, let me choose this version of
just
this
that
guy.
Oklahoma
this one. This is my favorite of all time. This little play. No, so actually my favorite football player of all time is Barry Sanders. And I will go down to the day I die that Barry Sanders is the best running back of all time and Emmitt Smith is not.
And this is from a guy that doesn't do best of all times. But I can say Emmitt set a lot of his numbers because he played for a long time. He's very Frank Gore-like in that matter.
Yeah.
Where like I'm going to tell you right now, if Frank Gore doesn't get in on his first ballot in the Hall of Fame voting, I wouldn't be shocked.
He's not getting in there.
I don't think so. I don't think he deserves to. That's a whole different topic that we're out of time for.
Yeah.
But he ain't a first ballot. He's barely a Hall of Famer. He just played for a long time.
Oh, the Bears are signing P.J. Walker.
Good skill set backup choice.
Yeah.
Follows your starter. That way, if you have it, you don't have to change your offense. Smart move. That man's making moves. All right, we got to go before we get distracted. Yep. Thanks, everybody. Y'all have a good one. And enjoy the week. Like, follow, subscribe. And don't forget to watch the tournament, post questions, anything you have. I'm currently locked out of Facebook, but when I get back in, I'll get back to adding things.